Hello, I am Christopher. Welcome back to this channel. Dear Seeker, I'm truly grateful that you have chosen to spend this time in reflection and inquiry. In a world filled with constant noise, urgency, and distraction, the simple act of pausing to explore wisdom is already a meaningful step on the path of inner growth. Today, we turn our attention to the timeless teachings of Gautama Buddha, teachings that have guided millions across centuries, cultures, and circumstances. These insights were not offered as commandments, nor as rigid beliefs to be accepted blindly. They were shared as practical tools, invitations to investigate your own experience with honesty and awareness. The Buddha's approach was deeply experiential. He encouraged seekers not to rely merely on tradition, authority, or hearsay, but to observe life directly. Why do we suffer? Why does happiness feel fragile? Why do peace and clarity seem so temporary? These are not abstract philosophical questions. They are deeply personal ones. And perhaps in your own quiet moments you have asked them too. In this video we will explore 8 life-changing teachings, carefully organized into 6 sections, so that you may not only understand them intellectually, but begin to apply them gently in your daily life. As we proceed, I invite you to listen not as a student memorizing ideas, but as a sincere observer of your own mind and heart. Take a slow breath with me now. Let your shoulders soften. Allow yourself to be present. This is not a lecture, it is a shared journey of understanding. Let us begin with openness, humility, and curiosity. The heart of the teaching, the 4 Noble Truths. Dear Seeker, we begin at the very foundation of the Buddha's insight, what are traditionally called the 4 Noble Truths. These truths are not pessimistic declarations, rather they are a precise diagnosis of the human condition. Just as a skilled physician first identifies an illness, then its cause, then the possibility of healing, and finally prescribes a treatment, so too did Gautama Buddha approach the problem of suffering. The first noble truth acknowledges dukkha, often translated as suffering, but more accurately understood as unsatisfactoriness. It is the subtle tension in wanting life to be different than it is. Even pleasurable experiences contain instability because they change. Relationships shift, health fluctuates, achievements fade, and emotions rise and fall. Recognizing this is not negativity, it is honesty. The second noble truth identifies the cause of this suffering: craving, attachment, and clinging. We grasp at pleasure, resist pain, and cling to identity, to me and mine. It is this tightening of the mind that generates distress. The third noble truth offers profound hope. If craving causes suffering, then freedom from craving brings peace. This is not indifference, but a wise relationship with experience, engaged yet not enslaved by it. The fourth noble truth points toward the solution, a practical path of ethical living, mental discipline, and wisdom, which we will explore next. For now, I gently invite you to observe your own life. Notice one small frustration today. Instead of reacting immediately, pause and ask, what am I holding on to? In that simple moment of awareness, the path quietly begins. The path of transformation, the Noble Eightfold Path. Dear Seeker, having understood that suffering has a cause and that freedom is possible, the next question naturally arises: how do we walk toward that freedom? The answer given by Gautama Buddha is the Noble Eightfold Path, a practical framework for inner transformation. It is important to understand that this path is not a rigid ladder to climb step by step. Rather, it is an integrated way of living. Each factor supports the others, gradually refining how we see, act, and respond to the world. The path begins with right view, understanding reality clearly, especially the nature of impermanence and cause and effect. When we see clearly, wisdom begins to replace confusion. Then comes right intention, cultivating motives of goodwill, compassion, and harmlessness instead of ill will or greed. Next, the path guides our behavior through right speech, right action, and right livelihood. These aspects emphasize ethical integrity, speaking truthfully and kindly, acting in ways that do not harm, and earning a living that aligns with moral principles. These create stability in both mind and society. Finally, the path strengthens the mind itself through right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These factors train attention, encourage wholesome states, and develop deep mental clarity. I gently encourage you not to feel overwhelmed by all 8 factors. Instead, choose one to practice consciously this week. Perhaps observe your speech. Before speaking, pause briefly and ask, is this true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? In these small daily refinements, transformation begins, quietly, steadily, and profoundly. Seeing clearly, the three marks of existence and the middle way. Dear seeker, in this section we deepen our understanding of reality itself. The Buddha taught that wisdom arises not from belief, but from clearly observing how experience truly unfolds. Two essential insights guide this clarity: the three marks of existence and the middle way. The three marks describe the fundamental characteristics of all conditioned phenomena. First is impermanence, Anicca. Everything that arises will pass. Thoughts shift, emotions change, seasons rotate, bodies age. When we expect permanence from what is inherently unstable, disappointment naturally follows. Seeing impermanence clearly softens our attachment. Second is dukkha, the unsatisfactory nature of clinging to what cannot last. Even joy becomes fragile when we fear losing it. Even success feels incomplete when we demand it define us permanently. Third is non-self, anatta. The insight that what we call self is not a fixed, independent entity. Rather, it is a dynamic process of sensations, perceptions, thoughts, and conditions arising moment by moment. This teaching is subtle yet liberating. When we loosen the rigid sense of I and mine, defensiveness and fear begin to soften. Alongside these insights, Gautama Buddha emphasized the middle way, avoiding extremes of indulgence and self-denial. Neither chasing pleasure relentlessly nor punishing ourselves harshly leads to wisdom. Balance does. Today, gently observe change around you. Notice how a mood arises and fades. Notice how the body breathes without your command. Instead of resisting change, allow it. In that quiet acceptance, rigidity loosens and understanding deepens. This is not philosophy alone, it is direct observation. And through such observation, freedom gradually unfolds. Understanding cause and effect, dependent origination. Dear seeker, as we continue this journey of understanding, we now turn to one of the most profound and subtle teachings offered by Gautama Buddha, the principle of dependent origination. At its heart, this teaching reveals a simple yet transformative truth: nothing arises independently. Every experience, every emotion, every thought emerges due to specific conditions. When those conditions are present, something appears. When those conditions change, it fades. This is the law of interdependence. The Buddha described this insight in a precise sequence often called the chain of causation, illustrating how ignorance conditions mental formations, how these condition consciousness, and how eventually craving and clinging give rise to suffering. While the full 12-link chain is philosophically detailed, its practical implication is remarkably empowering. Suffering is not random, nor is it permanent. It is conditioned. If something is conditioned, it can be deconditioned. For example, consider irritation. It may arise due to fatigue, unmet expectations, or perceived disrespect. Instead of blaming yourself or others, gently investigate what conditions are present right now. Perhaps lack of rest. Perhaps hunger. Perhaps attachment to being right. By adjusting even one condition, the entire experience can shift. This teaching replaces helplessness with responsibility, not in a harsh or blaming way but in a wise and compassionate way. You are not trapped by fate. You are participating in an unfolding web of causes and effects. Today, observe one recurring habit in your life. Trace it backward. What conditions support it? And what small change might you introduce? In this inquiry, you begin to step out of automatic reaction and into conscious living. Training the mind, mindfulness and meditation. Dear seeker, understanding alone is not enough. Insight must be cultivated through direct practice. For this reason, Gautama Buddha placed profound emphasis on training the mind through mindfulness and meditation. The untrained mind is often restless, pulled by memory, pushed by anticipation, entangled in judgment. Mindfulness, known as sati, is the gentle practice of remembering to be present. It is not forcing the mind to be quiet, nor suppressing thoughts. Rather, it is learning to observe experience clearly without immediately reacting to it. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to see thoughts as thoughts, not as commands. Emotions become waves that rise and fall, rather than permanent identities. Sensations are noticed as changing phenomena, not personal threats. This shift from identification to observation is subtle, yet deeply liberating. Meditation strengthens this capacity. A simple starting point is awareness of the breath. Sit comfortably. Allow your spine to be upright but relaxed. Bring attention to the natural rhythm of breathing. When the mind wanders, and it will, gently notice it and return to the breath without criticism. Each return is an act of training. Through consistent practice, concentration stabilizes. Emotional reactivity softens. Clarity deepens. Over time, you may notice a space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies freedom. I encourage you to begin modestly. Even 5 minutes daily can gradually reshape mental habits. Do not measure success by how calm you feel. Measure it by how often you return with patience. In training the mind, you are not escaping life. You are learning to meet it fully, with steadiness, awareness, and compassion. Living with integrity, ethics, compassion, and loving kindness. Dear seeker, as we arrive at this final section, it is important to understand that wisdom and meditation alone are not complete without ethical grounding. For Gautama Buddha, inner peace and moral conduct were inseparable. A disturbed conscience unsettles the mind. Ethical clarity supports spiritual depth. The Buddha offered practical moral guidelines known as the 5 precepts. These are not commandments imposed by authority, but voluntary commitments undertaken for one's own clarity and for the well-being of others. They include refraining from taking life, from stealing, from sexual misconduct, from false or harmful speech, and from intoxicants that cloud awareness. Each precept protects both oneself and the wider community. Beyond restraint, the path also emphasizes cultivation of the heart, particularly loving kindness, metta, and compassion, karu. Loving kindness is the sincere wish for oneself and others to be safe, peaceful, and happy. Compassion is the natural response to suffering, the desire to alleviate it. A simple daily practice may begin with silent phrases. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Then gradually extend these wishes to a loved one, a neutral person, and even someone with whom you experience difficulty. At first, this may feel mechanical. That is natural. With repetition, the heart softens. Resentment loosens. Separation decreases. Ethical living and heart cultivation transforms spiritual practice from a private pursuit into a way of being in the world. When speech becomes truthful, actions become harmless, and intentions become kind, the path is no longer confined to meditation cushions. It becomes embodied in daily life. And in that embodiment, the teachings truly come alive. Dear seeker, as we gently conclude this exploration of the 8 life-changing teachings of Gautama Buddha, take a quiet moment to reflect. You have not merely listened to philosophy, you have encountered a living path. A path of understanding suffering, refining conduct, training the mind, and cultivating compassion. It is important to remember that transformation does not occur through inspiration alone. It unfolds through steady, patient practice. The Buddha did not promise instant awakening, nor did he demand blind belief. He invited careful observation, consistent effort, and sincere inquiry. You do not need to adopt a new identity. You do not need to withdraw from the world. The teachings we discussed, the 4 noble truths, the Eightfold Path, the 3 marks of existence, dependent origination, mindfulness, and compassion, are meant to be lived quietly within ordinary life. In conversations, in challenges, in moments of frustration, in moments of joy. Perhaps as you move forward, choose just one teaching that resonated deeply. Practice it intentionally for the next 7 days. Notice what shifts, not dramatically but subtly. Growth in this path is often quiet and gradual. If this guidance has supported you, I invite you to continue walking this journey here. Share in the comments which teaching you wish to explore more deeply. Your reflections may support fellow seekers as well. Until we meet again, may your awareness grow clearer, your heart grow softer, and your actions grow wiser. May you be peaceful. May you be steady. May you walk your path with understanding.